Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Sticks, which is a podcast by Matt Tacker RC, and I am of course Matt. So this is episode 3 of season 1. And that's right, we've only just started that, and I think at the time of recording this, which is the 12th of September, I think 2 episodes have been released, 1 and 2, on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and other places, and I think 1 episode on YouTube as well. So I am filming this as well, but it's literally just me talking to the camera. So what's the idea behind this? Idea is just for me to get a bit more content out to a different audience in between doing my main videos, which I must admit have been a little bit slow this year. And that's because I've had a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on in my life, as well as starting up a new business. But I think there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I think so. Anyway, I've spent some time back in the workshop. So that is one of the main topics that we talk about every time, is what's going on in the workshop. Again, chance to let you know what's going on behind the scenes, and also what I've seen out in industry as well, some things that have caught my eye online, and then stuff that I've been flying, which is very little at the moment. But anyway, I digress. Let's start at the beginning. So what's going on in the workshop? So if you recall, if you listen to the last ones, I've got 2 models on the go at the moment, 2 builds. One is the incredible Lancia by FTR Innovations. I'm not going to talk about that in this episode because I've done absolutely nothing since the last podcast, which is a bit sad. I just need to order a couple of parts on it and I will get back onto it. But there is some news on the other project, which is the S1E3, which is the retro pattern model, which I used to fly when I was about 15, so back in the 90s, F3A pattern model. Managed to get hold of one a few years ago, started restoring it and then stopped and it stalled. But luckily for me, my buddy Steve recently knew I was going through a bit of a tough time and offered to take on the fuselage and get it sprayed. Now the good news is I am picking it up tomorrow from Steve. The fuselage is fully sprayed and lacquered. I've seen photographs. I've posted some of them on my Facebook site and it looks absolutely amazing. Now lots of you have been asking me questions about it on Facebook, like what do you spray it with, what do you prime it with? I'll get some details from you when I catch up with Steve tomorrow, I promise. And I'll put an update post on Facebook with some additional pictures as well. So it's just matt.tackerrc or Matt Tacker RC on Facebook, and you'll find me on there. So with Steve kind of taking the fuselage, spraying it all up, I thought I'd better get on with the rest of the model. And that's what I've been doing. I had the horizontal stabilizer and the wings for that model all completely stripped down, all rubbed down, ready to go, which left me with a little bit of a challenge, and that is covering the model with traditional covering film, which I haven't done for about 30 odd years. And to be honest with you, I probably wasn't even that good at it back then anyway. But we like a challenge, don't we? I thought I'll get the camera out, start recording the next installment of this project, the S1E3 project, and film me trying to cover the horizontal stabilizer, which started off with some hairspray. So those of you that are watching this will see that I've got a can of VO5 hairspray in my hand. And this was a tip by my buddy Steve, just said put a light film of hairspray over the balsa first, and that will give the film more adhesive and make it stickier, of course, once the hairspray dry. Absolutely stinks, this stuff. So top tip, don't spray it indoors like I did, because it will stink out your workshop and all your models. Do it outside. So I'll cover that in the next video, and of course I have actually covered the horizontal stabilizer. So again, I'm waving it around in front of me. It's pink underneath and white on top. I haven't put any trim on there, any color on there. I filmed that. There's probably only be about 5-10 minutes worth of footage on the video when it comes out. There's more to film the video yet. I haven't finished it, but to be honest with you, that took me about 4 hours. It took me literally about 4 hours to work out how to apply covering again, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it's just doing it for the first time. So as example, the elevators weren't hinged. That was deliberate. So I decided to do the tips of the elevators and the inside tip of the horizontal stabilizer in small bits of covering first, because I wouldn't be able to get to them once they're hinged. Then I hinged it, and that allowed me to do one piece covering across the bottom and across the top, going into the hinge line and back out the hinge line as well, which all sounds very simple. But when you're covering and you're trying to make sure you don't get creases in there, and you're trying to push the iron the right way and watch what's happening with the rest of the film, it just took a bit of time. And to be honest with you, I did mess up at one point and rip off the underneath of one of the horizontal stabs and recover it. But hey, it's done. I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm going to give myself probably, actually I've not looked at it for a few weeks, probably an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 I think I'm going to score myself, which sounds a bit odd, but 8 out of 10 for doing that. So I'm pleased that's done. So that's why I've paused the video on that. Next time we're in the workshop, I'm getting out the wings, and I'm going to bring the wings up to exactly the same as what the horizontal stabilizer is, with the pink underneath and the white on top. And I'll have the fuselage back by then as well, so I'll film that, and then that leaves me with the next challenge I have. Now, on the colour scheme that I'm copying for this model, and I'll explain in just a minute, but on the colour scheme that I'm copying, it's got nice swooping colours that go across. So it's not like straight lines, which of course that would have been easier. It's like curved lines coming down, and of course it's got to be symmetrical on each of the wings and each of the horizontal stabs. I just thought, how do I do that? I think I can remember back in the day, we used to use bendy rules, and you'd make like a template up on cardboard. But even though you're using like a bendy rule, it still needs to be a nice smooth line. And of course, once you've got a nice template in cardboard, you can then flip it over and you'll have the mirror image, because do it the other way around, and that would make sense. But these colours that I have on this model, the pattern I'm going for, I believe they've got a white line in between each colour. So obviously it's white on the top of the control surface, on top of the, on the elevators and horizontal stabs, and on top of the wings. So I want that white to show through, and I want, say, like a 5mm gap flowing through. So I'm kind of scratching my head on that at the moment. The only thing I can think of is I've got a vinyl cutter. Now, I don't want to use vinyl on the model. I've brought film for the model. Again, if you watch it on YouTube, you can see the film in my workshop at the moment. Yellow, more pink, like a turquoisey green colour. So it's going to look quite vibrant. So I don't want to use vinyl, I want to use the film. But what I could do is use my vinyl cutter to cut the shape out almost onto a cardboard and use that as a stencil almost, or something. So that's what I'm currently thinking. But if anybody out there has got some tips as to how to do covering really nice and get these lovely shapes in film, let me know. Let me know, because that's as far as I've got. I mean, I've got to cover the wings yet, but if you've got any tips and this podcast out, please let me know. I may put a little post on Facebook for some advice and some help, because of course I'm learning. And the whole reason I do my videos and I'm doing this podcast is to A, encourage other people to have a go at the hobby, or B, if you're already in the hobby, to encourage you to try something different and show you what I'm learning at the same time. So that's the main thing going on in the workshop. Time's been very difficult, so not much happened in the last couple of weeks, which just kind of sucks, to be honest with you. I used to spend probably several evenings in the workshop, at least a full day. I am starting up my own business at the moment. I am trying to reserve Fridays to have as my hobby day. The purpose of starting my own business is to have more time to myself and for my family, as opposed to just work. But it's got really busy. It's got really busy, which is a good thing, but that means it's a bad thing because it's not there. But anyway, weekends are currently wet, so I might be able to get some time in the weekend. So that is an update on the summit and what's really happening in the workshop. Hopefully it'll pick up before the next podcast. What can I say? So I'm going to quickly cover what have I been flying since the last podcast. And that is a nothing, which is really, really sad. So it's just been wet in the UK, and it's been, when it's not been wet, it's been really blowy. I mean, it's September the 12th at the moment of time recording this. And it's just been showers and it's been raining, and the odd time where it's not been showers or raining, I've been working, which is just life, isn't it? It's just typical. Unfortunately, I don't do this as a full-time hobby. I would absolutely love to do that, but it definitely won't pay the bills. So just get out like the rest of us do, as and when we can. So typically throughout the winter months, do more in the workshop, which is what I'm planning to do. So not much flying for me. So let's go on to what I've seen out and about in industry. And I think the biggest thing I've seen out online at the moment that everyone's going on about, well, in the forums that I follow anyway, is yet another model from Extreme Flight. Now, I mentioned Extreme Flight models last time round. I am not sponsored, I'm not affiliated. I have had a number of Extreme Flight models. Those of you that watch my YouTube videos will know that. I do love them. I've also had a number of other models as well, which I do love as well. But the one that's really going mental at the moment online is the Extreme Flight Super Chipmunk. And I'm not sure if I get it, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that in case they want to send me one, Extreme Flight. But okay, I sort of get it. I mean, it's a cool plane. Everyone loves a Chipmunk. It's a cool plane. Everyone loves Extreme Flight products. You know when they release something, it's going to be good. V2, probably in about 2 years' time, will probably be even better. But it does look good. It does look good. And there's just loads of people who've just got that first order in and rushed them to put together, rushed them to get flying, which is so super cool. So let me read out some specs straight off their website. Perhaps I should load this up just before. So Super Chipmunk, wingspan 2 meters, so that's 80 inches. Weight is between 10 and 11 pounds. And you can get a receiver ready version. So they do these RXRs. Now I've got the extra 260 RXR and I absolutely love it. It comes with the motor in it, the servos in it, and you just literally add the receiver. And they're doing that with the Legacy Super Chipmunk as well. And they've got a lovely red and white one, RXR ready to go basically. So the power they recommend that is the AM670, which is a great motor power combo setup. So it would be nice to have a go at one of those. So yeah, check that out. I'll chuck a link down below. It does look cool. I did initially say I don't really get it, but I guess people just love a chipmunk, don't they? End of the day, there's loads of manufacturers that do chipmunks. Calf, interestingly enough, have been posting about their chipmunk at the moment, probably because I've seen the amount of hype around extreme flights. One of our challenges here in the UK is getting hold of them. To be honest with you, they're an American company. I think they're manufactured in China. It just feels like America takes priority. There is a distributor here in the UK. There's another bigger distributor in Europe as well, but it's just difficult getting hold of some of these extreme flight kits, which is a real shame. So price on that one in America is $1,649 for the RXR version. And some of you are probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of bucks, and it is a lot of bucks in the day, but you do get quality for extreme flight. So that is one of the things I've seen out and about. Now, another bit of news is MAAD 2026, a model Aircraft Airshow Dubai 2026 has just been announced, and I absolutely love this because I was lucky enough to go out to the very first event last year. Again, playlist down below for the videos there, and it was out of this world. And the organisers of that event have contacted me and said, Matt, can you please save the date? Can you come out and cover the event again as official media? Last time around, we live streamed a lot of the event, had multiple cameras running. I did a lot of walkabouts with the camera as well. I had lots of footage filming it. And it was just an awesome place to be. First of all, you've got an absolutely incredible airfield. And it's more an airfield, it's an air complex for model aircraft. So the whole place has got miniature hangars, model shops, restaurants, toilet facilities, power, and it's all for the hobby. Now, whether it's drones, not so much drones out there, but whether it's helicopters, lots of jets, fixed wing, it's just all out there, it's all dedicated. So an amazing complex. I've got a separate video on that in the playlist. And then they put on the show. They've got some great big sponsors out there. CAF are out there, who just mentioned earlier on. A number of others as well. FTL Innovations are out there as well. Chase Servos are out there as well. Just a whole bunch of people together and put on their very first air show. And they learned a lot from that. It was great. It was amazing. They learned a lot from that. I think one of the things they learned is they needed more shelter out there. Not for the rain, but for the sun, just for the spectators, because it gets so hot, obviously, being Dubai. And actually in January, which when it's scheduled for, is actually their cooler season, because they don't fly during the summer months. It's kind of the other way around to us. It gets too hot during the summer months. But it's really, really incredible. And they're doing another one. So I'm going to try and get out there. So the dates for that are the 31st of January and the 1st of February. I'll put a link down below to the website, but the website's still having more and more content added to it, and a link to my playlist as well. Now, some of you are probably thinking, wow, that's a long way to go to Dubai. That's like a 6-hour flight or 6.5-hour flight. Lots of money, lots of expense. But even if you only do it once, when a couple of my friends went with me last year and they actually helped me get out there, actually Martin Cox and Chris Cox helped me get out there last year. Thank you very much, guys, if you listen to this, again, for that trip. And I was sponsored also by Model Shop Leeds. They supported some of that as well. So I was very lucky to get out there. But if you think about it that way, it's not as expensive once you start breaking it down. And if you're sharing the costs of accommodation with a friend or whatever, or multiple friends, you start breaking it down and think, well, maybe I'll tag a holiday around it and maybe go out there for 5 days or 6 days. Do some man maths on it. That's what I like to do. Do the old man maths. Talk yourself into it like you do every single time you buy a new plane. You know what I mean? We always talk ourselves into these things and we go and do it. But you won't regret it, because you'll see models out there, especially jets, that you'll never see anywhere else. I mean, just just watch the playlist. That's what I'm going to say. Watch the playlist. You'll also see some truly incredible pilots flying these jets, flying them like they're 3D. You'll see some traditional 3D flying as well, which will bring me on to my next subject in a minute. But it's incredible. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be doing some more promotion around that event. I'm looking for sponsorship myself at the moment to help get out there. But yeah, more on that probably in a couple of episodes time. So 3D flying. Oh, I've just lost all my notes. What's going on right now in my life? Literally, they've just disappeared. Brilliant. Yeah, okay, they've come back. So there's 3D flying. I don't fly 3D. I've tried a little bit of it. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like cool. I want to get more into it. I'm just looking forward to getting a model where I can give that a go. But there's an event that's just been on a couple of weeks ago called Extreme Flight Championship. And yes, I know more about Extreme Flight, but I want to talk about the actual event. So Extreme Flight Championship is something I don't follow religiously, but when I go online on social media, I kind of see a lot about it because I follow a lot of the pilots that go, and I know a bunch of the pilots go and compete out there. So from what I can understand, it is all run by Extreme Flight. They get their pilots and other top pilots, probably about 20, to go and compete in 3D aerobatics, and it's out of this world. You know, if you haven't seen any clips from this, just Google it on YouTube, Google it, or go on YouTube and type in a search for EXFC, and you'll see some of the pilots doing some absolutely incredible maneuvers. And one of the rounds is called Smackdown, and I believe that's all about getting your 3D as low as possible, as quick as possible, as ferocious as possible, without hitting the deck, because that would be a bad thing. I believe that's right. I mean, if any of you pilots are out there listening to this, please correct me, put a comment down below, and I'll correct it next time round. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and it's possibly slightly controversial, but you know, I read it online, I thought it's an interesting point. And this was a post by one of the pilots who I will name. I've spoken to him several times. I've done a quick interview with him before, which is on my YouTube channel. A very, very, very good pilot. I think recently sponsored by Extreme Flight over the last few years. Might be wrong by that, but I think that's about right. Every time I watch him, I'm just absolutely amazed by his ability, and I always think he gets better the next time I see him. It's just incredible. So that's Rory Truly. And he put a post on there because he was out flying. So I was following him on Facebook. He was out flying and he was doing incredibly well. I think at one point he was in second place on the competition. And for the last day of the competition, you have to get into the final 5 from what I understand. Then the final 5 go and compete and just battle it out. It's about the final 5. So 20 or however many it is goes down to the final 5. And it was on it. It was in it, and that's what's absolutely incredible. So some really sort of big names out there, and I thought, you know, good luck to him. He's gone a long way. And then something happened. The rules got changed, and this is what his post was about, which I picked up on and just read. I didn't comment on it. I just read it through and read through a lot of support on there. I think when I read it, there's about 50 comments on there from different people supporting his view. But there was also a response on there from the organisers, in particular the judge's director. I think his name is Rodim. I might pronounce it wrong, Rodim. So Rory basically said, come on, what's going on, man? This is my words, not his words, but what's going on? You know, I've worked my backside off. I've competed hard. I've flown the best flights of my life. And then the rules have changed. I was in the top 5, and now the rules have changed to the top 10 and battling it out. And then the race director, not the race director, that's Formula 1, but the judges director's come back and kind of gone, well, you know, there was loads of spectators, we had time, so we thought we'd change it to top 10. And by the way, we're allowed to do that. It's our competition, it's our rules. There's a rule about being able to change it. And we told you about it, and you didn't put your hand up and say anything at that point. Now, look, I'm not going to go into out the politics on that. That's between the people that are involved. I wasn't there. I don't know much about it, but I'm just going to give my view on it. You know, why not? This is a new podcast. I'm trying to get some conversation going, and I just thought it was interesting. And having competed myself in F3A 1,000 years ago when I was younger, I kind of get it, because I can remember when I was a kid competing in F3A. Every time I went to the flying field, I'd take my pattern model. Every time I went to the flying field, I would fly the same schedule over and over and over and over and over again. And I was looking for just marginal improvements on whatever I was doing, and I think I was far better at flying a 3A schedule back then than I am now. I haven't gone back down that path. But you know, just that dedication. I wouldn't stop to fly a different plane. I only had one plane back then. Flew it over and over and over and over and over again, just practice to get ready for that competition. So I really get Rory's view of, I've worked my backside off. You know, he didn't say those words, but I've worked flat out to do this and get it going. And then I kind of think the race director, my views come across possibly a little bit arrogant. I mean, fair play for commenting, fair play for coming back on that post. But I know if I was at that event, which I never will be because I'm never going to be that good, but if I was there and I got into the top 5, which again would never happen, but you know, if it did, and then all of a sudden it's top 10, and then as a result, if I just look at my notes here, I went from 2nd / 4th to then 7th with what he's saying is a flight of his life. You know, he rinsed it. And these, if you watch these flights, you'll know what I mean. I think I kind of with Rory on this one. I really am. I think I'd be pretty annoyed. And yeah, he probably posted a bit hot and a bit frustrated like we do. You know, I think he's supported by his father. He's sponsored by Extreme Flights. They both go to these events, you know, and it just costs money. Hobby costs money, yeah. Even if you are sponsored, it still costs lots of money. And lots of time, lots of dedication. And then these things are kind of changed and you slip down. I mean, maybe the fact they changed it from top 5 to top 10 is enough to throw you off your game. Just the fact that a change has happened, you know, I don't know. But I thought it was an interesting thread. I might link it down below in the comments for those of you that want to read it. I don't know if it's private or not. I mean, I follow Rory. I don't know if his account's public or not, but it's just an interesting thread. There's lots of support on there, which is the main thing. Hopefully it hasn't put Rory off. I did see a few days later another post from him picking up a brand new model, Extreme Flight model. I think it was a Slick from Aerobotics, which are the Extreme Flight distributor in Europe. So hopefully it's not put him off and he's just gonna, you know, suck it up, learn from it. Tough lesson. Things do change. It is tough, but keep going, buddy. Keep going, and let's see what you do next time around. Right, I went on quite a while about that, didn't I? So I think on that note, I was trying to keep these about 15 minutes, but it's probably been about half an hour, I imagine. It is a Friday night. It is 8:45, and I've not had my dinner yet. So I'm going to call it a day there. But guys, give me some feedback. And thanks to those of you that have already given me feedback on the first episode of the podcast. They're saying you really enjoyed it, something different. I'm just kind of making this up as I go along. I take a few notes during the week or during the fortnight, which is the gap between these 2 weeks, of things I've seen, things I want to talk about, and just get in the front of the camera and have a chat. I will plan to bring some people onto these once I've got some money to pay for the software that I need to be able to record these in 4K with somebody else, you know, sitting in a different room, but we'll try and do that at some point. I suppose I don't have to go that far if it's just going to be audio. I don't know. Babbling along now. But guys, if you liked it, let me know down below. If you've got any feedback, let me know down below in any comments on any platform. I'll try and find them, those comments. Any ideas or anything you want me to get into more detail. Like for example, if I'm doing a build and you just want me to spend a podcast talking about that build or a particular model that I've got, I'm happy to do that. You know, if others are benefiting from it and others are learning from it, I'm happy to share the little wisdom that I do have. And on that note, I'm going to recharge. See you next time round.